everyone, so continuing on with my on the shelf series, it is square number 2 on my game shelf here. Continuing on with more Stefan Feld games and then slowly kind of getting into my Alexander Pfister games. So as you can tell, currently I pretty much have my board game shelf set up now to be sorted by designer, by game designer. That may change in the future, but through the longevity of these videos here until I'm through the end, that's just the way I have it for now. So moving on to the first game here in the cubby. It is called Aqua Spear, like I said, by Stefan Feld. In Aqua Spear, there's a whole lot going on, and I'm not going to get into all the different details. Put it up to the camera here. But basically in Aqua Spear, you've got all these unique different actions that you're doing throughout this Aqua Spear underneath the water, hence the name. And the reason why this game is in my collection is that it is just such a unique theme, especially for Stefan Feld or for any Euro game for that matter. But there is a whole lot of variability to this game that I really like, where each different colored spot does something different. And you know, in classic Euro style design, it's all about getting those points, but you're manipulating these scientists on the separate board over here to allow you to do different actions with your robots that are inside the Aqua Spear underneath the water. So there's kind of that unique push and pull where one track kind of dictates what you can do on the main board and vice versa, and they really work in tandem with one another and really work and gel together so well. Some spots are to fend off these octopi that are invading the ship. You can get points that way. Some of the other spots get you more time because there is a time element in this game, kind of as like a resource to go into different sections of the Aqua Spear. You need to spend more time. And then there's these other cards that have these different requirements that they take in order for you to complete for points too. But like I said, I just really like this game for what your scientist does on the scientist board will affect what your robots are doing inside the Aqua Spear. So I really like that balance back and forth with that. The next game, another Stefan Feld game. This one's very, very high on my top 100 favorite games of all time, and that is Bruges. And I'm just going to get short and sweet to the point here. The reason why I love Bruges so much is that it's one of those games that has multi-action cards. So each card has multiple actions that you can do. Let me count them out here. It's 5 different actions you can do per card. And each card has a special ability on it as well. So you've got 6 different options per card that you play. And they can do so many different things, from building out these canals to building a house with them and then putting the person in the house. You can actually take the card and pay the amount of money to put that person in the house, and then you gain their special effect or special ability for the rest of the game. So that's really cool. And you can turn them in for more money. And I don't know, there's just so much. Another really cool aspect of this game that I like that's unique, and I haven't seen it in very many other games, but it's kind of cool how there's these different threats that can come up, and like whether it be a flood or your house is catching fire or rats that are infesting the town, all these different detriments that can happen to you that you need to help mitigate, because when they ramp up to a certain point, which is 3 of these tokens per whichever threat type it is, that'll actually go off and cause damage to your entire plan. It could be discard all of your workers that you were building up to build more houses. One could be discard all of your money that you've built up so much to put people into the houses, and it's a really bad thing that can happen to you if you don't pay attention to it. So fending off the threats and using these cards for multiple different actions is just my favorite part of Bruges, and that's why it's actually going to stay in my collection forever. I do have the expansion for it as well, which is the city on the Zwin, and that adds some really neat, cool things too. So just some more options to the game and create some more replayability with the game as well. Next is my last Stefan Feld game that I own, and that is Carpe Diem. Another new one by Stefan Feld, came out last year. And the reason why I enjoy this one so much is its simplicity. I do like my mix of heavy Euros. I do like my mix of really simple games as well, whether it be Euros or otherwise. I do like my mix of heavy to simple, depending on my mood and depending on the players I'm playing with, and just the overall feeling that I want to create in whatever game I'm playing for whichever day or night. And this game gives me the simple feeling where you have this. I know this is the first edition of the game, and it has changed with the second edition. In the second edition, you're actually going around in a circle around this board. But in the first edition of the game, there is this star pattern on the board that you are sending your workers bouncing back and forth to these different regions. And each region has 4 different tiles, and you simply just take a path to one of the regions, grab one of those 4 tiles from that, and place it on your own player board. And depending on where you place it, you are actually trying to build out these different regions, whether it be wheat or different fields or these lakes or houses. And if you complete said color or said type, then you get points depending on where you had placed it and how big of an area you had created with those tiles. If one of the spots that you go to is empty, none of the tiles are there, you actually bounce around. You bounce around to spot to spot to spot until you finally land on one that has at least 1 tile, and then you take one of those tiles. So really simple. Decide which path out of the 2 on the star you want to end up at, and take a tile out of that group and place it on your board for points. So that's really fun, really light, really quick to play, and a good one to pull out when you're not really looking for a very big brain burner type of game. On to my first Alexander Pfister game that is showing up here on the list, and that is Blackout Hong Kong. Another really fun game that has multi-use cards. Not only that, I think the thing that really makes me want to keep Blackout Hong Kong is the whole column card effect thing, where at the end of your turn, the column of cards that are beneath your player board that has the most cards in it actually get discarded. So you want to kind of balance out which cards you're playing where. I guess I should probably explain this a little bit better, but there are 3 different columns underneath your player board that you start the game with. You can unlock a 4th one, but on your turn you are laying out 3 cards, 1 in each column, and you are doing the actions in any order on those cards. And like I said, at the end of the turn, the column that has the most cards in it, if it's a tie, everything stays, but the column with the most cards in it actually go away. So you then can't benefit from trying to keep cards out in front of you that will unlock these different things on the main board, as far as other missions or requirements or other things you need to accomplish to get points. So you really need to be careful of where you're placing cards and how many cards you have in each column to hopefully they stay in front of you and grant you access to completing the correct missions before you accidentally add too many cards to one of the one of the columns for them to then go away, and you might not be able to complete a specific mission due to that. So that's a fun balance there. Another one I really enjoy having in my collection for multiple reasons. And the last game I'm talking about here today is another new game to me. It had come out I believe a few years ago now, but this game is Super Motherlode. And it's like a Dig Dug style game, or it does take after the Super Motherlode PC game as well, or video game, or whatever console it's on. I'm not too sure. I have not played the electronic version, but in this game you're simply playing cards that can dig you different areas on your board, and you can dig down and use your cards to collect different types of minerals. You can get these bomb tokens that can blast through harder rock, and basically you're trying to collect these artifacts and these different tokens to then purchase more cards to your hand. And the more cards you purchase, those cards that are purchased are actually better and better as you play the game. So then your hand not only gets better, but the cards you purchase are worth points at the end of the game as well. The main board is a collective board that everybody is digging on, so it's really fun to be like, I can't quite get to that mineral, but if I dig too close to it, then my opponent that's next in line can then potentially dig using my path into that really nice expensive mineral. So you want to really be careful what path you are digging, and when you should go after something and when you should pull back away from it so your opponents don't benefit from it. So that is why Super Motherlode is in my collection. Definitely a mainstay for a while. I don't know if it'll be a forever game because the replayability doesn't seem too great it's not like I can play this game 50 to 100 times and want to play more. So it definitely would need an expansion here, which I don't know if it'll ever be getting one because this game is a few years old now, but definitely in need of an expansion to keep it fresh, but one that if you play 10, 15 times, you definitely get some great fun out of it, and the game isn't too expensive to purchase either. So that's another good thing. That is Super Motherlode, and that is actually all of the games we're talking about on today's episode, and thank you all for joining me. If you like the videos I'm putting out, please give me a thumbs up on the videos. That really helps out a lot. And if you like the content that we're creating here on the Talking Cardboard channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate all of you who we consider just real fun people to chat with in the comments and to really keep this thing going and see what comes next. So anyway, until next time, my name is Corey, and you guys all have a great day.